All right, and there we have the brand new dust collection system. Nah, I'm just kidding. That's a picture on the box. I bet you all believed that that was the assembled thing, though. Yeah, suckers. Okay, let's build this thing. There's some parts. There's some parts. Let's get at it. Now, when you first get your Harbor Freight dust collector and you open up the box, you're going to be greeted by a whole bunch of packing styrofoam. For me, much like I'd seen in a lot of reviews online, the foam was pretty busted. So I just helped it get the rest of the way busted. Put that right in the bin. I already broke down the box as well. So, look, if you're here to look at styrofoam in a box, your priorities for what you want out of this video are a little mixed up. Otherwise, you get your instruction manual. You get whatever this dude is. You get all this stuff. You get some real stiff tube. Look at this. Try to bend it. Oh, that'll be fun later, no doubt. There's a bag. There's a motor. Some strappy boys. And you probably get a base plate that, if you're lucky like me, it's a little scratched up out of the box, so you don't have to worry about putting that first scratch on it and making it not pretty anymore. I appreciate that courtesy. And you'll get some wheels. They've opted to put 3 in a bag, and then they gave me one Lone Ranger here, so that's cool. This guy, I'm going to name him Mark. And that's Mark the Lone Ranger wheel. That's a bit fun. And then, so whatever that thing is, and some hardware. So let's start putting it together. Now right away, we can tell putting this thing together is going to be a fun time. We get instructions like here: place caster 39 in place on the underside corner of the base plate, 40. Okay, now we can figure this out, right? This is the base plate. It almost certainly is. And a caster, well, a caster is probably the caster. Now, when we get things like insert 1 screw 5 through washer 21 down into base plate and through the caster, thread on nut 38. There is a little bit of a responsibility here that we need to take for ourselves as grown-ups, where we need to figure out, what screw are they talking about and what nuts are they talking about, all this. I mean, it's not hard, but we can reference these numbers in the back here, and I have a feeling we might be doing this a few times. So we get this elaborate exploded diagram here. Hey, look at that, 38. There's the nut. For all that good that it does us. Of course, I mean, I can look at this picture and tell exactly what that is, but that's just me. I'm talented that way. And we can read about it over here. And then we can turn to our little, our baggie. It's sort of a plastic sack with bolts and nuts in it. I don't know what, let's call it a bolt sack. And we've got a bolt sack. And, I kind of wish I had videoed putting together my saw stop the other day, because it's a pretty stark contrast in the assembly experience, where this had each piece individually kind of shrink wrapped in a tray that clearly had them all labeled and numbered. But I guess that's what you get when you buy kind of a premium table saw and then pretty much the cheapest dust collector you can get. But you know what? I read one review by somebody kind of more clever than myself, and they said, for the key for assembling this bad boy is just make sure you go into it with a sense of humor. So that's what we're doing here. And let's get back at it. Now, I know I just made my funny jokes about the bolt sack and how we could probably figure it out for ourselves of what screws and bolts and things need to go through where. But as I opened it up, I realized actually this isn't going to be so easy. I did take a little time out to play a mini game of sorting the stuff. This is what it looks like, but frankly, if you looked at this pile of stuff and I said, oh yeah, use the bolt or use the screw to attach the casters, you'd probably look at this and then you'd look at me and probably say something mean to me, because it could be anything. So here's the approach that I recommend. Sort it out as best you can. And then you're really going to want to just reference this part list in the back of the manual. And from here, you can kind of figure out what's what. So here, for instance, part number 5, screw M6 by 12. We got 28 of them. So, I mean, eyeballing it, I'm guessing that's probably this. Does that look like 28? Doesn't look. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. No, that's 16. That's 16. What do we have 16 of? Oh, well, no, there's 17 spring gasket 6s. And there's 18 bolt M8 by 16. M8 by 16, 18. Oh, wait a minute, what's this? Nut. M6 nut. Okay, so cool. What is this 28 screws? This is a head scratcher. Alright, let me count some things and update in a minute. Alright, we've made a little bit of progress here. Most promisingly, I would say we have a few groups of 16. Here we've got 16 of these things, and we got 16 of these split washers, and we have 16 of these nuts, and we have 32 of these washers. And that isn't the same number as 16, but it's just like 16 if 16 had a twin, and then there were 2 of them. And we can probably guess that the way this works then is that we're going to have one of these, and probably a washer, probably a split washer, that is. It's going to go on there, and then we're going to put on a regular washer, and then this is going to go into something, and then on the other side of that something, we're going to put another washer, followed by a nut, and this little assembly probably is going to nicely consume this pile, and this pile, and this pile, and this pile. So that's all well and good. We can see what other connections we can make here. Well, we see that we've got 6 of these sort of, I don't know what you call them, but the nuts with the washer, or the nylon in them, and 6 of these. So I assume we just put this on here, and then we'll just hit it with a hammer until these are 1, and those will go together, and that'll use up those piles. That's good. And then we have a smattering of kind of random numbers. This 18 goes with this 18. Get that party started right now. That looks good. 4 of these, no corresponding nuts. That's cool though. These actually do thread onto these, and probably these as well. So if you actually hammered this onto there, you should be embarrassed, because that's dumb. It's anybody's guess what these are for. And I know I said actually that I was going to get that party started. That was wrong. I should have said something else. Yeah, these go with this. These go with, well, I don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, yeah, now that I've got these all numbered out and laid out, I can confidently say that it doesn't really correspond with these numbers at all. So, you know, this was just somebody typing in whatever they felt in their heart in the moment, and not what was based in reality. Alternatively, it could be that whoever packed this just went over and grabbed a handful of these out of a bin, chucked them in, and grabbed a handful of these, you know. So, yeah, strong start for the Harbor Freight package here. Okay, let's move on. All right, more progress. After this fun numbering exercise, I went back to the manual, and step 1, for all 4 corners of the caster, insert 1 screw through the washer, down into the base plate, and through the caster. Thread on nut. Now, what they're saying here, is to take a screw, which, let's be real, I mean, it's almost definitely these guys, right? And I mean, I say that because you can use a screwdriver on it, therefore it is a screw. As opposed to these guys, where of course you would use your bolt driver. Another quality joke there. Now, they're saying insert the screw through a washer. Mission accomplished, as we practiced earlier. Good job, boys. Put it through the base plate and through a caster, and put a nut on it. So they're saying I should take one of these, I should take it over to my base plate, go through it, and then just pop a nut on there. Now, I can't help but think that is kind of a bad idea. Now, I realize they did say put a washer on it before going in that side. Get over it. That's not the point right now. The point is, I can't help but feel like they gave me twice as many washers and some split washers for a reason. And what's more is that they gave me 16 of these things. And I think there are 4 holes on one of these casters, and there's 4 casters, and 4 times 4 is 16. I'm pretty sure. So I'm gonna follow my heart here and assemble it like this, because I'm a bad boy and I play by my own rules. And also, I think they're just trying to trick me. So I'll try it my way, and then if later I go horribly wrong and have to undo everything, well, that'll be maybe at least fun to watch for everybody else. So let's go. Okay, those are on there. Ooh. Yeah, that's not a weird thing to do to your casters at all. Does anybody else, when you're doing this and you're handling washers, does anybody else do that thing where you kind of feel one side has sharper edges than the other? You know, you pick up a washer and you go, oh, that's the nice smooth side, and that's the sharp side, because of how they're made, right? That's a piece of metal, and then a big stamp comes and cuts them out, and it leaves a sharp edge. I like to assemble my stuff where that sharp edge is never actually pressing into anything. You know, it doesn't really matter, but I just like the idea that knowing that if I ever did need to take it apart, I'm not going to have little cuts in there, and I'm treating my things nicely. You know, I'm not cutting them unduly. Of course, that does mean that if you were to come in and manhandle your casters the way I just did, there are technically slightly sharper edges, and maybe you take the opposite approach. Maybe you like to flip that sharp side down, pressing into the machine. You don't care about that, but if you did ever feel of the persuasion where you wanted to come and rub your hands all over the nuts and the bolts and everything, you would take pride in knowing that it's as smooth as it possibly can be. Maybe that's the kind of builder you are, and there's no judgment. They're both good. It's just different strokes for different folks. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. But these are on there. I feel pretty good about this decision. The manual, I am certain now, is indeed trying to trick me. And in fact, the more time I spend looking at this picture, this isn't even the same base plate. So they're really having a go. But that's okay. You know, we're going to keep on keeping on. We're going to keep using our heads. We're going to keep following our hearts. Let's move on. Okay, after the roaring success that was our casters, I see you. The next step is to install these bag supports. And we're just going to look at this picture here. And in the instructions, it says stick in a bolt, line up the holes, and put it through a washer and secure with a nut on the other side. So that's all well and good. Again, we can probably figure this out. You know, we got these two in place, and we got this guy. This guy doesn't want to stay up on account of a bad case of bent bottom. And I mean, that happens to the best of us. I'm not mad. But it does make showing you guys a little bit trickier. Just imagine, though. Imagine if this wanted to stay upright. Look at that. Oh, I took my hand off. Okay, that's dangerous, though, and that's going to be noisy. So we don't want that. Now, again, I asked myself what bolt it might be. here it says bolt 16, and I flip to the back, and I go to bolt 16, 18. Hey, I actually have 18 of something. Look at that, 18 of these guys with their washers. But wait a minute, it did say to thread those on with a nut. Well, time for you boys to divide and conquer. So if you have a hacksaw, which I just so happen to have right here, what you can do is you can get these guys in your little metal vise, all right? Pull that off your shelf, clamp it on up, start sawing them in half, and that'll get you to 12. And you know, they gave you 18 of these, but there's only 2, 4, 6 holes we need to fill right now, so I don't know. You could work with these 6 nuts, or better yet, you could even just thread the bolts into the nuts that are already present on the underside of the cart. There are some, and there are some more, and you'll have to trust me that there are some right here too. I'm probably going to do that, but you know, nice try, Manual. You almost had me that time, you tricky devil. All right, let's get those boys on there and see what's next. And there we have it. Look at those beautiful uprights. Hey, when you do this, make sure you put the little bendy bit facing in. It doesn't say to do that, of course, but just looking at the picture here, that's what we want. Hey, so you can't tell through the magic of video editing, but that took me considerably longer than you would think it would take to put in 6 bolts. And I'll tell you why. In spite of my fun math time over there and the counting and all that, I didn't put together the fact that we have 18 of these things, and we have 22 of these things, and 4 of these things. And 4 plus 18 is 22. Therefore, 4 of these probably go with this, and that leaves you with 18 of these. And that just, ooh, that feels good, doesn't it? It's so nice and tidy. Anyway, I took all these off, and after making that relevation, I stuck the split washer in between the bolt and the regular washer. So, don't know if you're supposed to do that, but when I give her the old reach around here and I feel where the bolt's coming out underneath, it's still poking plenty through, clear and good and wholesome. You can kind of see an example over here. So that's what we've done. It's practically done. A perfect dust collector. Nah, I'm just playing. Moving on. All right. After a little more than an hour, we have a cart with some sticks. So very exciting. We move on to the next step, and it says the fan housing, which, by the way, I already looked up in the parts list. It's this thing. Is attached to the motor. There that is. And the motor base as a single unit. Well, wait a minute. This is the motor base. But that's the motor, and that's the fan housing. But that's the motor base. This doesn't look like a single unit. But the instruction says it's a single unit. But it doesn't look like a single unit. Oh, what do I do? Alright, now, I'm sorry I panicked in regarding the motor base and the fan and motor not being one unit. I just got so overwhelmed, but I'm okay now. I took a nap and I had a soother. Listen, a couple things have happened. One is, maybe y'all even caught this, but I had this originally labeled 4. I had these 4, and then I had these on their own with a sign that said 2. And that's, you know what, that one's on me. You know what, these are the same as these. And that actually makes that 6, and the other sign has gone away. Now, you may recall that there were 4 long bolts here, and I had some split washers, and I had some nuts and all kinds of stuff. And, oh boy, I had a real bit of a conundrum thinking about how maybe I should attach the base plate to the motor. And frankly, those bolts, the shorter guys, also would have worked. But I had 4 of the long boys, and I had just a whole bunch of those short little ones there. So I figured, there's 4 holes here. This feels like a good time to use 4 long bolts. And it really got me thinking. This is a part. These long slots here, this is the part where you can really tell Harbor Freight was just like, yeah, man, we don't even know what we're doing at this point, but good luck. You know, we're going to give you these nice long slots so that, look, this stuff's just not going to line up. We're telling you that right now. So, hey, here are some long spots, you know, shimmy it around, and just, you know, as is the theme of all of our videos, follow your heart, and be your best self. So, you know, I use the long bolts. I tied them kind of loose here, just my fingers. So I'm going to flip this whole bad boy over and get him situated on these, and then I'll tie those down. And again, with these being loose, I can then shimmy the whole thing back and forth so that these little feeties can line up with these little feety holes. So that is the next phase. Let's get busy. Friends, we are cooking with gas, as people say. I've got that bolted on there, and it is great. And basically, yep, to get these holes in line, for this part, I didn't tighten those. And then to get this line lined up, I just started slapping it, you know, just pop, 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 pop. Like a lot of things in life, just slap your worries away. And in this case, not all the time, mind you. Don't apply that to certain things. Anyway, in this case, it worked swimmingly, and we're gonna just go ahead and get those stuck in there with some of these little boys and some of the split washers and the washers again. But I wanted to take a second. You know, y'all thought maybe I was having a laugh when I was talking about the smooth side and the sharp side of the washer, but I just happened to pick this one up, and look at the edges on this bad boy. Look at that, right? Tell me you want to touch that, because I don't think you do. And so it becomes the age-old question: do you put that sharp edge down facing your machine so that you never have to touch it by accident in case you're doing a caress to your parts, or do you put that part facing up away from your machine so you don't put any scratches in there? You know, this is one of the age-old questions that's been haunting me through my entire adult life. So look, in the comments below, let me know, are you on team sharp side, and that's where you got the sharp side facing it, or are you on team smoothies? Right? Y'all know I'm a sharp side guy, but hey, like I said, there's no wrong answer, but let me know in the comments what y'all are doing. Alright, we got her bolted down. That is not going anywhere. Here's what I would suggest. You know, we got this far, and maybe you could have even done this out of the gate if you are even smarter than I am. But before we go any further, why don't we plug it in and make sure the motor actually runs? So, like this big beefy cable. Supposedly this pulls 20 amps, according to the box. And as we know, the box can absolutely be trusted. But just for giggles, let's pop it onto the same circuit that runs my lathe, which frankly I don't know how much current it pulls. Or maybe we could hook it up. Oh, I guess it's on the same circuit as the saw. Sorry, I'm whipping the camera all over the place here. I'm all excited. Anyway, let's see. That's off. We'll plug it in. And if you're wondering, this is powering my Bluetooth speakers that are hanging out up there. But anyway, that's plugged in. They say you should not put your parts, your body parts, in there in any which way, which I'm actually inclined to agree with that part of the manual. That could go badly. Anyway, that's that's plugged in. Let's step over here and flip her on. Big money. Okay, that works. I totally just blew dust and bugs and all kinds of stuff all over the place. So, cool, I guess. But just for the heck of it, let's see what happens if we try to run the saw at the same time. So we're gonna move our sockets here. Good old Stan Lee, getting it done for us as always. Excuse me, Stan. And the saw is not plugged in. How you guys loving this view? Right? Pretty good. Pretty Mr. Shaky Cam. All right. We'll get this guy warming up, lumbering, and doing his stretches. God, I'm excited. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Hey, let's. You know, this isn't gonna go in there, but let's move things anyway. Okay, that's all kinds of ready. Let's pretend that we had this all set up and we got bags and we're filtering and life is great. We've got the blower going. That is loud as balls. Now let's see this guy. Okay. Wow. All right. So we're definitely going to need to invest in some more ear protection because that was loud as balls. But hey, good news. We can run the table saw and that we can be fairly confident on a 120 volt circuit is pulling 14 amps, I believe. If SawStop is to be believed, and I believe them. God, I trust those guys with anything. And this, supposedly pulling 20 amps, yeah, I don't think so. If you're telling me that I just pulled 34 amps total through the circuit, and the breaker did not trip, yeah, I don't think so. So, cool. Maybe we'll get a little kilowatt device and measure the current that this thing actually pulls. That'll be a fun exercise for maybe the next video. Anyway, all's well. It all works. The fact that I can run these both on the same circuit actually is kind of a nice thing for me. And yeah, let's get the rest done. Alright, so we are on the home stretch at this point. The next step is to take this thing and put it on this thing. And again, pretty ambiguous. Actually, not even ambiguous. That's too generous. Just straight up wrong in the old instruction manual here. It says, you know, get some washers, get some nuts, get some bolts, you know, put it all together, just have a good old time. Well, you know what? Here's what we have left. We have 6 of these things, okay? And we have 6 of these guys, right? Remember when I had 4 and I had 2, but really that's just 6 together. Come on, camera, you want to focus. There you go. Look, there are no more washers, right? These washers go with these things. These have these funny... I don't know what these are called, but you know what I mean. It's almost like a washer built in. Anyway, look, it's really easy because these boys are a little thicker than these boys. And, you know, nice and easy. The bigger ones there that I just showed don't fit. So we're just going to go ahead and pop these in here. And I don't need to video the whole thing, but you get the idea. And then these things with the little Teflon washers built in, these thread on these. So that's what's going on in here. I'm going to stick these skinny boys through. I'm going to thread them on with that. Call it good. And then we'll go from there. Wish me luck. Okay, so we got this little flange thing on there. I actually had to abandon my boy Stanley for a second in favor of Rick the Rigid Drill or something. I don't know, some funnier name. Anyway, it just made it go a lot faster trying to thread those things on with the Teflon washers. Really awkward to do with like the channel lock pliers and the socket wrench and all that. Anyway, got it on there. We're at the point in the instructions where I think y'all get the joke. I mean, they're bad, and I'm gonna start going back to them being like, look how bad they are. So instead, let's just look at the picture and figure out what we need to do. So we're at the point, I think we put this big old elephant trunk on there. We got these janky hose clamps that came with it. I'm sure they're fine. I reckon we'll just tighten it on there, have it sticking up like a smokestack, and then you know that kind of like when you're learning to draw as a kid, and it's like, here's how you draw an owl, and it's like make a little like circle and then make an oval below it, and it gives you like 2 steps, and then the third step's like draw the rest of the fucking owl. I think that's where we're at. We're at the step where now it's like, cool, you did that? Cool. Now just like put the rest together and you are good, my dude. So, yeah, I'm not going to go every single step on video now. I'm going to bung this on there. And then when I get to the point where I'm putting this thing, you know, that boy, when I'm putting that on there, I think I'll just bolt it on and then I'll update you then. Or maybe I'll even put that on and I'll put this support rail on thing. And we're pretty much at that point, we're on the point where we just put the bags on and we're good. So sit tight and we'll be right back. All right, everybody, we're nearly done here. Let me show you some exciting things. I added this tall boy here. Basically, I had to backtrack because I'd already attached all these things to this hoop fella. So I had to take these, I just backed these out because this upright piece and this down below piece are held on by the same 2 bolts. So we just took that off, and then I'm actually just about at the end. I got to put this handle on, right? So these are the handle holes, and here is the handle. And wouldn't you know it, they gave me exactly enough nuts. So out of all that chaos, it actually worked out okay. One thing that really either I missed it in the instructions or it wasn't there or something, but there is this rubber gasket that should have gone between the blower head and this plastic flange. So I'm going to have to take that off and stick it in there. A little bit of a pain in the butt just because the nuts on the underside of these have the Teflon washers. But, you know, it is what it is. So I'll do all those things. And then we'll jump back onto the video once I get to the point of dealing with these straps that hold the filter bag and collection bag and all that jazz. Okay, cool. Hold on. Okay, we are on the verge of glorious vacuumy shop vacuum success. I got that gasket in there. It's all good. Basically, the only thing left to do after that was put this filter bag up here. I didn't say much about it because there's not much to say. You know, unfold the bag. Hang up the little loop up here. That's all good. You know, these straps, I took them off, disconnected them all straightened out and everything. And I just pulled the bag over the rim of this thing. That was real easy. And then I just wrapped the strap around it and clamped it down. You know, super exciting footage. I'm just wrapping up the lower kind of trash bag collector down here, whatever you want to call it. This one's a little harder, but still not super hard. So again, you got another one of these straps kind of straightened out, ready to go. And I think, you know, they include these little tabs here, right? So if you have your bag, you get it in there and you get it around the lip of the metal rim. And I think the idea is that you can tuck it up under these metal tabs. There's one here, there's another one here, and there's a third one around here. And in theory, right, that's going to hold your bag for you, so you can get it in place and then get the strap onto it. Yeah, don't kid yourself like that's going to work. You know, I just kept slipping off and everything. I have these really gnarly magnets, right? These normally hang out. You can see them here. They hang out on the side of my tool cart. So I just use those and pop it on there, hold the bag in place. And that makes it super duper easy. So get yourself some magnets in your shop if you don't already. They're just good to have for hanging stuff or otherwise. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah, so I'm going to get this strap on there. And then we should be good. We'll start dusting some stuff. And that's going to be good. So this guy, the way it works is that it basically pumps air through here and it's sucking its air through the table saw. So it's essentially, as I saw, it's sucking air through this crack and then out through like this baffle underneath, and it pulls everything through this 4-inch tube and up. And then this bag is a 5 micron dust collector, which apparently is good, but in like industrial workshops, they actually have a much finer filter that's like half micron. So I guess that means if you're going to be working a lot, there are better options. And I may explore upgrading this bag to a better filter one day. But for now, this should serve me pretty well to keep me breathing easy and safe in here. And then it's also got a port. You know, you can hook this up to like all the tools in your shop if you want and have all kinds of crazy ductwork and everything and just filter everything through here. So I may do that. These shelves are going to come down and probably go over here. And then this whole thing will scoot into the corner and just kind of live over there out of the way. I should even, if I wanted to back the truck into the garage, I could still get it by and everything. So yeah, not the most exciting tool, but breathing is nice. So that's the plan. And there we have it, the complete Harbor Freight dust collector. Such a premium central machinery product. Nah, I'm just playing. It's kind of crappy. But again, think about this. I mean, really, what are you buying when you buy a dust collector? You're buying a blower, right? And you're buying basically a filter bag and a place for garbage to go. And at the end of the day, is this that? Yeah. I mean, like, what would you be paying for if you bought something different? Maybe you'd be buying more horsepower for more airflow, basically. And like, yeah, if you have a shop where you need more airflow, cool, buy that. Buy a bigger motor, right? If you do that, just make sure that you have a circuit that can handle it. You're probably going to be looking at 240 volt, no big deal. Call an electrician or do it yourself if you know how. You know, reading some reviews, people say, oh, well, like the cart's pretty rickety. I don't know. It seems okay to me. But if that bothers you, you know what? You're buying a blower for a wood shop. Like, you probably have something, you probably have a corner like that. And you're probably pretty handy, so build yourself a better little cart. Problem solved. You know, the instructions suck. But again, like, was it that hard to figure out? Nah. So, you know, you can probably buy the Harbor Freight one. Really, you're probably just looking at this number, the 5 micron filtration thing. And, you know, you might be looking at things like Shopbox or Delta or Jet or any of these things. They might be talking about 2 micron or whatever. From my research into this, I learned that the OSHA requirements for like a commercial wood shop is the filter has to filter anything larger than actually a half a micron. So whether you're talking about 5 micron or whether you're talking about 2 micron, that's actually still bigger than what they'd recommend for a commercial shop. And of course, I recognize, you know, our home hobby garages, if you're a dude like me, it's not a commercial shop. You're not in here 8 hours a day. Maybe you are. But the fact is, if it's about the filtration that you're after and that's why you're buying the thing, you know, you're probably going to want to upgrade this bag anyway. And there's tons of forums online where you can read about wind filters and, you know, solid filters. And you can have a 2-stage dust collector where you have this run into like a cyclone dust separator with a trash bin and all kinds of stuff you can do. But look, the core thing, if this is, you're just going to get like a 1-stage dust collector, it doesn't really necessarily make a lot of sense to spend, you know, 2 to 4 to 5 times the price on one of those other brands, in my opinion. You know, your mileage may differ. You may have different priorities. And this took, you know, probably about 2 hours to put together, including time to make, you know, these snappy little videos for y'all. But, you know, if you got an evening and, you know, you're not making dinner, you're just cooking a frozen pizza or something like that, so you got time, you can do it. You know, save yourself some money. That's what I vote. Anyway, I've got it plugged in here. I got it hooked up to my SawStop. I already turned it on once. You can see some dust in there. But hey, here's the big conclusion, right? So we'll flip this bad boy on. That all starts moving around. You know, it's whisper quiet. That's pretty wild. And let's just confirm run the saw at the same time. I have no doubt there's going to be somebody in the comments being like, the computer program made things
quick and dirty test, and I think it'll be okay. Or the house will burn down and I'll be dead. You know, which again, it'll be okay, I guess. That's good. Let's see what happens. Everybody's still running fine. So there you go. That's my narrated assembly of the Harbor Freight 70 gallon 2 horsepower 5 micron other sexy terms, whatever. This thing. Thanks for watching.